Hi, BethAnn. Welcome to the RunYogi Diaries.
Oh, it's great to be with you on this Saturday morning. It's great.
Yeah. And how is it in DC? Is it cooler? I know I'm in Houston. It's hot and humid here.
Well, it's hot here. We've had a record 30 some odd days of hot, heated weather, and with that come the afternoon storm. So we've had a great deal of rain, but working out this morning, taking a run and doing some weightlifting, it was pretty hot, humid. Not like Houston, but it was there.
Yeah, it's sauna here. Here it's all free sauna. You don't need to go to sauna in summer.
It's like Bikram hot yoga, right?
Yeah, yeah,
My favorite.
yeah. So I started my life in America. I started in Virginia. I used to live in Reston, Virginia, for some time, and loved that area. It's such a beautiful part of the country.
Oh
So
yeah, they claim that is where, Google and the .com industry really took off. It has grown the last 3 years. It's just stunning.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so BethAnn, I'll maybe we'll start with a quick introduction. You have a very impressive bio, and but let's get introduce yourself, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. So I am originally from Pennsylvania. I was born in the capital of Pennsylvania, which is Harrisburg, and I lived my life on the other side. There's a river that divides Harrisburg from the West Shore and the East Shore. East Shore being Harrisburg, West Shore being Camp Hill and the country. And I'm from that area, Camp Hill. I grew up there, went to school there, stayed in Pennsylvania until soon after 9/11, when I came down to Washington, D.C., and now reside in this area. Since 9/11, I've been down in the D.C. area working as a federal government. But I am the baby and the favorite of, I have two older sisters. So my dad had four women close into his life, and a tiny home in the country with one bathroom. And my dad would go to the gas station to shave and brush his teeth because he had three daughters and one wife to get through the bathroom. And just a great family. My oldest sister is married with two children, and I have two great grand nieces. And then my nephew, who gets married the end of this month, I'm very excited about that, to a lovely lady. And then my middle sister is married to a great gentleman. Everyone is in Pennsylvania, and she has two daughters, and her baby daughter is kind of my mini me. I just adore her, and she is to start college in 2 weeks, and we were hoping that she would go there to get the experience, but just found out she is not going to be going there, be doing off campus. So her senior year and now her college freshman year have been totally disrailed by this COVID. But she's a great kid. All of them are great, but she happens to be my favorite, probably because she's the baby too.
Yeah, that's yeah. It's a new realm now, right? And you're talking about your dad. I'm like that. I have three women in at home, two daughters, and so I can completely relate to what he must have been dealing with.
Yeah.
But I've always found that men who are surrounded by women are better off.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, they're stronger. They're stronger. My father is he's my hero and my inspiration. And I tell everyone that he has been from day one. And my mom is the rock, because she's the center of our family, who has gone through some tremendous issues in her life with alcoholism. And my dad just staying through it all. And really, through the ups and downs that man has been through, I just get my inspiration from that man. He's my hero.
And so when you were growing up, were you an athlete in school or?
So I was a tomboy. I was my dad's boy that he never had, and he put me through. I played softball. I played soccer. I was the goalie in soccer, which I really didn't like, because if we lost, then it was all on me. I played competitive sports all my life. As far as running goes, I was never a distance runner. I excelled in field hockey. That's where I got my scholarship. But in field hockey, you only had to run the mile and be timed on that to qualify for the team. So I was running the mile in, sprints and so forth because I played defense, and I also was the assister for goals. And so I did not start running until I was down here in DC and saw the amount of people running on the Potomac and the groups that you could run with. But during my childhood, I just was the one that would be out on the bike and be with the boys, throwing rocks and stealing Cokes out of the Coke machine at the gas station. I was the tomboy.
All right, mischievous one.
Yes, I was.
So nice to hear somebody playing field hockey in America. I played field hockey when I was in my school. I grew up in India. My
Yes, big
favorite
there.
sport. Yeah,
The
yeah.
only thing is you didn't wear kilts though. See, until because I'm 51, we wore kilts, and I think like 3 years after I graduated, they changed the girls from, wearing kilts into soccer shorts. But we wore kilts, and our big thing was wearing boxer shorts underneath the kilts. So I really didn't know what they were. So I was stealing my dad's boxer shorts, putting a pin there and, wearing his. But yeah, I love the kilts. I played here for a while when I moved to DC because there's an older women's group, and I'll tell you what, they are tough. And I could fight in hockey because my dad, at that time, you had parents that were on the sidelines and they could scream and yell, and my dad was one of them. He would follow me down to the end of the field where I'd pass it, and he'd have a blowhorn, he'd have a cowbell, and then his voice. Everyone loved my father, but he would get into it with the refs and sometimes eject it.
Nice, awesome,
Yeah.
great. And then you started running long distance in what, early 2000s in the DC area, right?
Yeah, right after 9/11, I moved down here, and I started working for the federal government. And I wanted to do something, to get my mind clear from the federal job. And I would just see all these people running. And one of my coworkers said, you should join this group. We're going to be running a marathon in the fall. And I don't even remember if she told me what marathon. And we're going to collect money. And at that time, AIDS was, something everyone, or breast cancer would, do fundraising for. So my very first training was with the AIDS marathon group here in DC. And I believe I was the older one of the group, and they would put you in pace times, and there was just hundreds of people. And we would congregate now where it's called the Navy Yard, where the Nationals play. And that's where we would start. But at that time, there was nothing there. It was desolate. And we would start there, get in our time pace groups, and run through the city. And it ended up that was my first year training, and I successfully completed Marine Corps marathon. Not fast, because I was in a slower pace, but I always ended up being in the front. I guess they were being proper, putting the old lady up front. And I would pace the group, and we would have great conversations, go on the C&O Canal, and that's where it all started.
Awesome. All right, and then you continued running, and then something popped.
Yeah, so I fell in love with the Marine Corps Marathon. I love the race director, Rick Nealis. We have a great relationship, and that started, of course, after 2004 marathon. So I've done and completed a couple of the Marine Corps marathons, and in 2004, the Marine Corps Marathon is always the last Sunday of October. So generally, it's a fall marathon with great weather, mild running weather. Well, this happened to be a year that I struck out with, the hottest Marine Corps marathon to date that's on the records. And I'm on mile 19. And again, like I was saying about my hometown, there's an island, and you're familiar with it. It's called Haynes Point, that splits DC from Virginia. And mile 19 at that year was on Haynes Point. So I'm coming around Haynes Point, and I just wasn't drinking a lot. I guess, I thought I was dehydrated. Coming around the bend there, and it happened to be where they put the hands and the sculpture that used to be there. I forget the name of the sculpture. So I passed that, and I remember that, and it was a Viking sculpture, and it's now at National Harbor. And I looked up, I saw the street light, and just a pop in my head, almost like when you're going up a mountain and you have to clear your ears, or you're in a plane and you swallow deep to clear your ears. So I kept doing that. But my gait, which is your running stance, was going like I was drunk, and I was just weaving in and out. And the people behind me are like, what is wrong with you? You know, I was bumping into people. So I stopped at the next hydration center and got some water. And I thought, well, you know, I can complete this. So I finished it. I just wasn't feeling great, and I blamed it on hydration. So you can either overhydrate, which is deadly, or underhydrate, which is, you know, deadly as well. People don't realize that you can actually drink way too much and you can die from that. And it's a proven fact. But I feel like I was underhydrated. So I finished the marathon. And then 3 days later, I kept having these symptoms. I'm at work the next day. I'm in my federal job. And in these federal buildings, it's like museums. The furniture is in place and it's been there for years. And I'm in the executive offices and I'm running into furniture. I'm forgetting important dates for my boss. I got on the metro system, and instead of coming out to Northern Virginia, I went to the other side of Maryland. So there was a lot of signs going on that something up here was, you know, in my head was not right. So my boss said to me, look, do you need to take some time off, or you need to go see a doctor? So at that time, I was still being seen at my home state of Hershey, Pennsylvania hospital, Hershey Hospital. So I called down there, and he got me in with the doctor at GW, you know, someone he referred. So I went to go see him, and he kept in touch with my doctor in Pennsylvania and said, well, Beth, I think it's an ear, nose, throat, you know, issue. You just have, you know, here's something, take it, blah, blah, blah. Well, something wasn't right. And thank God for my doctor, who was my doctor since I was younger. He said, you know, Dr. Silver, this, I think there's more to it than ear, nose, throat. You know, Beth never really had symptoms like this. When I was in high school, I always got migraines. I always told my mom something's up there, because I'd come home from school and my head would just hurt so bad, I would just have to put compresses on it. So Dr. White said to Silver, you know, let's get an MRI. So that following week, I had an MRI here in DC, and I could tell by the man that was giving me the MRI, his facial expressions and the way he comforted me after the MRI, that something was going on. And I just thought, you know, well, maybe it's, you know, sinus, blah, blah, blah. So the next day after the MRI, I get a call at my office. I'm in federal office, and it was the doctor. And the doctor said, Beth, I really need to see you today. Well, I couldn't go in. So after like a 10-minute conversation with him saying, look, I can't get in, and HIPAA, he couldn't explain on the phone. I said, look, you're going to have to tell me I just cannot get there. So he said, Beth, you have a left frontal lobe brain tumor. And I was like, what's a brain tumor? Okay, so now you're going back 15 years, and I'm on the phone with a doctor who I hardly know. And I'm like Googling right away, brain tumor. And then I'm like, death, everything, death, death, death. And I was like, wait a minute. So he's still on the phone. And he's like, so you need to come in and we need to talk about what's going on and blah, blah, blah. So I hung up the phone with him, and I'm thinking, who can I tell? I can't tell my mom and dad. It would devastate them. Plus, I was worried about my mom and her finding out and thinking, oh, something I did, you know, with the alcoholism, blah, blah, blah. So I'm sitting there in the stairwell of this federal building, just crying and like, what's happening to my life? I'm 35 years old. You know, this is just not possible. So I went back in there and I talked to my boss, who was a cabinet member at the time, and he called up his wife. His wife immediately took charge of my health, and she took me to 5 different institutions all over the United States. And we ended up talking to someone. It was our last appointment was at Johns Hopkins in Baltimore. And she did all the questions. She had researched everything. Very intelligent woman, great person. And ended up going to Hopkins, and Dr. Henry Brem was my surgeon twice. And on April 12th, 2005, I had my first brain surgery removal. So that's how
Wow.
it all happened.
Yeah, and here we are having this conversation 15 years. So obviously, that's a conversation to be having because you are obviously a vanquisher of cancer. So cancer is defeated. You're obviously thriving. You went on to do. I was looking at your bio. You've done 6 Boston marathons, 15 Marine Corps, 4 Ironmans, and a 9-hour Grand Canyon trek. Hey, that's not something even normal people do. So obviously you're thriving. So let's talk about that. Um, so who did you have a guru or did you have some kind of a coach?
After my first brain surgery, I went home to Pennsylvania so my mom could care for me. And there was a 5K in my hometown. So everyone's like, let's do this. I had a bandana on my head. I'm bald, and, everyone's cheering for me. We're at the start line and everyone's there. And my mom's like, now you're going to walk this with us. I'm like, yeah, because I was afraid to run, literally. And all of a sudden, my dad departs us. And I'm like, where's daddy? And we got halfway through. And then all of a sudden, at the halfway mark, I heard my dad yelling. And it took me back to the time when I was in college, high school. And my dad yelled, BethAnn, pick it up. Run, Beth, run. And to that day, that was the first steps I took in running after my first brain tumor recession. And it was my dad saying, Beth, it's going to be okay. You're going to get back into it. And that's how I got back into fighting it, because I was very upset, very mean. Why me? I'm going to die. Why me? And between that and Dr. Brem telling me, about these kids that have cancer and never come out of the hospital and the way they do isn't, alive. That's when I started, I'm going to fight this thing and I'm going to advocate, especially for pediatric cancer.
Yeah, yeah. I think the message that people, I would love our audience to take away is, circumstances come in different forms, right? Um, Obviously, you've had a very challenging circumstance. Uh, and the point is not about the circumstance. Like you said, you don't want people to feel bad for you. The point is your spirit, your willingness not to be stopped by that. People get stopped by, hey, today is a warm day, so I'm not going to run, right?
Exactly.
As small as that. You could have circumstances as small as that stops you from going out and doing what you need to do. And not just running, it could be any goal or commitment you have in life. But I think the podcast really is about how do you use endurance as a means to, accessing that type of mindset, right? And you are demonstrating that mindset. Circumstances can come in different forms and sizes, but who you are is that mindset of being unstoppable, being an inspiration, setting an example, being a hero, or a heroine, let me be.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're exactly right. And, I'm not out there winning races. Sometimes I'll win my age group, but definitely, I've had these setbacks where I'm running or walking, marathons because I just don't have the ability to push myself the way I can when I'm physically better. But it's not going to stop me because, with being healthy or, keeping a track of just getting up off the couch helped me to be stronger to get out of these situations like major brain surgery or migraines or depression, because a lot of depression comes with brain cancer. So you have to fight it. Sometimes it's hard. Some days I don't do what I want to do, and that's okay. It's okay to give your body a rest. Your body does need to rest. But if you're in this slump like for weeks, it's just not good. And that's where you surround yourself with good people. uh, I'm blessed with a good family and great friends, so they push me. And like I
Yeah.
told you, I have these girls that pace me that are 20 years younger than me, but I just love it because they keep me young at heart. So
Young at heart, and I'm sure you're biologically pretty young. I don't know if you've heard about the telomere testing that's
yeah.
available now. That can tell you what's your biological age versus chronological age. So you could be probably those that 20 years old biologically. So I don't know,
I wish.
could be. So let's now good time to pivot into your adventures. You've not been stopped. You've taken it to the next level. You've said, hey, you know what? I'm going to go live life fully. And you're living that. You're an example of that. And one of the events you did was 7 marathons in 7 days flat across all continents. So tell us about that. That's a great story.
Well, see, I have, like I said, I have some great friends, but I have a lot of great friends that challenge me. And, everything was a challenge for me and a goal. And I love to set goals because that gives me the ability to, have these setbacks. Yet at the end of the day, I finish the marathon. It doesn't matter, how fast or how slow, I finish it.
Mhm.
So these friends bring these crazy ideas to me to do, and I kind of do challenge accepted, bluff. But they know that when I do these challenges, I have a platform to talk about my advocacy and raise money and, number one, awareness for brain cancer, especially, again, pediatric. So when people find these great adventures, they send them to me and they copy people on and say, do you think Beth can do this? So I had this friend that saw this little blurb in the paper about the World Marathon Challenge. And I didn't know much about it, so I looked at it. And then when I started looking at the website, I was like, oh my God. So they had only 1 year running it. And it is 7 marathons on 7 continents in 7 consecutive days.
Wow.
So I was thinking, oh, wow, I know I can do this. I just work with my trainer, slow my pace, and train for a year. So I won't do the first year, but I'll get in on the second year if I can. So I was like, challenge accepted. And then I needed to talk to the campaign that I work with, which is called Accelerate Brain Cancer Cure, ABC2, and they're here in Washington, D.C. So I brought it to them, and I was sure that they would be like, no, we're not going to do this. This isn't going to attract people. But when I had the meeting with, the team there, they were like, whoa, we can do this. This is great. One thing, Dr. Brem had to approve it. So I get in with my doctor, and I get in there and I was telling him about this. I want to do 7 marathons in 7 days on 7 continents. And that's how I approached it with him. So if you think about it, he probably thought, and to this day he does say this, 7 marathons on 7 continents, but not 7 consecutive days. He didn't grasp that. And I don't think he grasped that till after I came back in, 2 weeks after being there prior and then after. So I kind of caught him, but he approved it. He's like, oh, you can do it. You're fit. You listen to your body. That was a big thing, not just with me, but anybody should listen to their body. You have healthy people out there running, and then all of a sudden, bam, something happens. You should always listen to your body. So that's how it all came about. And then I got the approval from my regular physician, Dr. Wida and Dr. Silver. And off I went, training for a year, getting pumped up. And I was the first person to do it ever with cancer. And then I was the second USA female. The first was Becca Pisa, and I was in contact with her crazy, before time. I went down to Florida to watch her during the first year's World Marathon Challenge. She's a great person. on an offsite, I'd like to get you in touch with her to talk. She's awesome. And I did it. I had a great time, and we can talk more about that.
Absolutely. So yeah, tell us about that. Was it like getting on a plane, doing a 26.2 and getting on a plane and getting to another country and city? How was it? Tell us about that.
So, we got down. I was able to take someone with me. My sponsor paid for another person to be with me to do all my medical stuff, because I do take a lot of medicine to, keep me, level, and also to do all of the media on site and get it back to the foundation, ABC Squared. So she worked closely with someone at ABC Squared. And she had a vested interest in the whole thing because her niece has a brain tumor. So she's awesome. I love her. She was from New York. She lives in this area now. And what had happened is we went down to Chile a couple days earlier. That's where the whole group met from all around the world, was Chile. From Chile, we got on a Russian cargo plane, which was awesome. It was like this huge plane. There's pictures of it, and it's able to land on the ice structure in Antarctica. And we had to wait to make sure the storms were clear for us to land and so forth. So we get on this Russian cargo plane, we land, able to see us coming into the runway. It was awesome. And we acclimated in Antarctica for 3 days. I rode a mountain bike in Antarctica. I learned to play Jenga in Antarctica. I love that game. I made a $15 a minute call back home to my parents from Antarctica. All these great things, just beautiful, beautiful place. Lived in a tent there for 3 days. So after 3 days, they waited for the storms, and we were in the mess hall there. And finally, the race director came in and said, "We're a go." So I looked over to this lady. She was an English lady, and Ireland. She was from Ireland. She's blind, and she was doing it with a guide, and she totally broke down. Totally broke down. So I look at the girl Megan that I'm with, and I started like getting, hyper and hyperventilating, and I'm thinking, oh my God, this is real. Here we go. 1 week to do 7 marathons. I never doubted myself because I had the ability of all these kids on my shoulder, and I had promised them. So she had this meltdown. I'm starting to cry and hyperventilate. And then this other lady, who was the English lady, lost it. So I'm thinking, oh my God, I got to tighten up here, because I'm not here to win it. I'm here to finish it. Mm-hmm. So we started in Antarctica that next day. And as soon as we got finished, the last person came across the finish line, 26.2. Our bags were packed. They were ready for the plane, and we had to get on the plane because there was a storm coming. So we immediately, when we were done, so if you were fast, you were able to at least, dry off and get in other clothes. But those of us that were a little bit slower and we got in the thick of the storm before it really came on, we didn't get a chance to change. So we jumped on that Russian cargo plane, flew back to Chile. I don't even think I slept. I just kind of warmed up and massaged my legs, and there was people that had the leg wraps to, compression your legs. I was wearing compression socks, rolling out in this plane. We land in Chile, and immediately, an hour later, we're running 26.2 miles in Chile.
Yeah.
So then that's done. And I was able to clean off a little bit, not shower, but clean off. And we jumped on a private plane. Now, this plane would then take us to our final destination through the next 6 continents. So we had selected seats, and we all snuggled into that plane and got ourselves familiar with our little chairs at that time. And from Chile, we went to United States, to Miami, where I had a huge crowd that came and surprised me. I knew my parents would be there, but my mini me was there. She had someone from the University of Florida, Catherine, who came in. So University of Florida, who I just adore and help out. They came, and Catherine brought her bike for my little niece, and my niece rode her bike beside me, just like when I trained. She would ride her bike with me. And we each marathon was more or less big circles or big, out and backs.
Mhm.
That's how you did it. And every time I would come back, I would see my dad, and he's like, how much longer? I'm hungry. I want to eat. Now, this is someone that has just run. I'm on my third marathon, and my dad's yelling at me to hurry up. He knows all my girlfriends. He admires them all. And he's like, can you hurry up a little bit? Um, so it was great. And I had a friend at the time who was going to do it the following year, had brain tumor. He was from the Austin area of Texas. And so he was there to film me, to get film for he was going to do it the following year. Um, and Miami was great. It was the best marathon. I enjoyed it because I missed my parents terribly. They had brought me a luggage, and we swapped out luggage. I got an IV. My sponsor was there. It's just great.
Mhm.
Uh, but when we were finished, my dad's like, so can we go to dinner? And I'm like, Dad, I'm out of here. I'm on the bus, and we're back to, the chart plane. So he was disappointed, but got some great footage, and I got my fix for my parents because I just missed them terribly, and I was scared. I was scared deep down inside. So we took off from Miami, and we went right to Spain, which was my best marathon, my fastest. And the reason why, Spain was like my hometown, the big elm trees, hills, and just beautiful. I felt at ease, and it was probably because I was coming off a high with my parents and just mellowing out, doing the yogini thing, meditating. And I had my best run there, and had at each of these venues, I was doing news interviews because of my cancer and my platform. They had set that up ahead of time. So after Spain, again, no shower. We did have a meal there. The food was stunning. And I didn't sightsee or anything, so this is like, I've done these 7 continents, but it wasn't any trip to be doing sightseeing. So jumped in the plane, and after Spain we went to Africa. Africa was very interesting. It was hot, and to respect them, I did not wear like something I'm wearing today, which is a tank top running shirt. I covered myself up to respect the country.
Which city was
And
it? Which country?
Marrakesh in Morocco. Yeah. So we went from Spain to Africa. So it was interesting because a lady came out to talk to the race director, and we were just doing big circles. We were doing a circle around a park. It was like 1.5 miles. And then we'd have our tent with the finish line, and you would have your food in there, and anyone that traveled with you would be designated there. So she came out and she said to the race director, I want to meet this USA girl, and I want to run with her. Well, when I came around a lap, here's a lady in a full barca, the only thing that we had in common were running shoes. So she ran with me, spoke great English, well-educated, younger girl. And so she asked me all these questions, and I asked her, I said, what do you look like? This is all new to me.
Mhm.
And just amazing. When you run, you want to sometimes talk to people, and you find things fascinating. You get on a topic. It was just the best run I ever had, emotional run, talking to someone about the difference between a United States female runner, not competitive, but just a runner, and a lady that shouldn't be running, and her body's fully covered. So it was just really very, eye-opening to me. And then it got hot, and I asked her about me taking off my shirt to a sports running bra. And now some of the other ladies did that. And as soon as I did, the words were flying. from the men, and she would interpret them, and they weren't good. And then there was a part of the course that you could run on the road. And there was an Italian lady that I just fell in love with. She was great. And I was trying to beat her. And she almost got hit by one of the mopeds. She actually ended up falling. And then they tried to hit me. So it was all because of us, undressing a little bit into our normal USA or Italian running style. So that was neat. So right after Africa, we were able to shower there. So I did get a shower there. Saw the camels. That was just so cool. So cool. So from there, so we're on number 1, 2, 3, 4. So that was 5. So our 6th destination was Dubai. So I was excited because they call that like the Gold City, the Palm Island. And I was excited. So when we landed, we went right to the race site. It was daytime. Each of our marathons, except for Chile and the last one, were during the light of the day. And it happened, Dubai was in the hottest time of the day. It was about 112 degrees, and that was my slowest and worst marathon. I can run in heat, but that is Bikram yoga heat, as you well know. And I love Bikram yoga. That's what helps stretches me, and runners should do that more. It's something that I'm avid about. But when you're not stretching and you're running, and then I have a brain tumor in my head that is just, thriving and just bouncing in there, I was a mess. So we all of us, all 20 of us, took care of each other. The fastest person being a dear friend, Mike Wardian. He was handing me ice because he knows my situation. And when he was finished, he helped other runners out. We were all helping each other. It was not competitive whatsoever. And again, that was the hottest. Absolutely beautiful. We did an out and back along the beach, and that's someplace I would really like to go back and see, but it was just beautiful, but extremely hot. So it was my slowest marathon, and the hottest and the toughest. Unlike everyone thought Antarctica would be the worst because of the weather. So right after Dubai, we get in the plane because it's the longest trip now from Dubai to Sydney, Australia, and our final destination. So on the plane, the race director says, Richard Donovan is his name. He says to all of us, we need to vote. There is a man that did it last year. He's an entrepreneur, and he would like to donate money to a female's charity of choice and a male's charity of choice. But it is up to you participants only to vote on each other who has the best sportsmanship. So we're all voting, we're putting it in, and he said he would let us know after the finish in Australia, which is the final marathon. So I voted for my male and I voted for the female, and put in my ticket, gave it to the race director, and that was that. So we had a long flight. Like I said, I slept a little bit. I was eating on the plane. I was taking my meds. I was trying to contact home. That's hard because we didn't have internet. But again, Megan was doing all the social media. So she would check in with my parents. Like, she kept everyone informed. It was very rare that I got on my phone at all. And we landed in Australia. We were running a little bit behind. We were supposed to land at 10 p.m. We didn't land until a little bit later. We got to the beach site there where we were running. It was beautiful. There was cliffs up on the side of the beach, and just great area in Sydney. And we started running around midnight. But when we got to the race site, there was a gentleman there. And he was probably a little bit younger than me. And he came up and gave me a hug. And I was just like, okay, so it's someone that either heard my story or they just wanted to see the USA chick, I'm cool. He said, "Do you see that building up there?" And he pointed on the cliff, and it was quite a large building. He says, "That's the Children's Hospital in Sydney here." And I was like, "Oh, I wish I had time to go see it, blah, blah, blah." He goes, "Well, my child had brain cancer, and that's where he died." Totally lost it. totally lost it. And I'm thinking, I don't have anything to give him, blah, blah, blah. He had been out there hours prior because he thought we were starting at 10. We didn't start till midnight, waiting for me. He stayed through the night. And the big thing about my whole run was we had started a campaign prior. New Balance donated 13 pairs of shoes. I mean, 14, excuse me. So if you think about it, 14 pairs of shoes, every half marathon, I changed my shoes. And on the shoes, which you can find on the website, were decorated by a child with cancer. It didn't necessarily mean brain cancer, but they sent in via the internet a drawing. And that drawing then was taken and put on the sneakers by a dear friend of mine. I'm going to cry when I say this, who's a firefighter, and I trained with him here in Arlington. And he took those images and on the one side put the child's drawing on the one sneaker and the other side the country flag. So you have to remember, I have 14 pairs. Well, at the end of the 7th marathon, I left with 13 and a half shoes. And the reason being is I gave the gentleman that was there for his son and who thanked me for raising the money and awareness, the Australian flag shoe. I would not give him the child shoe because that was for the child. And he took it, and lo and behold, that damn thing fit him. I couldn't believe 8 women fit him. But so he took it. I walked off that course shoeless on one side. And, it's the only thing I could give him other than my love in agreement that I would do this until the day I died. And came across the finish line. And the last couple miles, Megan came out with me and she would interview me. She's like, how do you feel? Just like what you're doing. Like, how was it? And I said, Megan, I just want to do another marathon. Just like when I was doing the Ironman and I was coming around, I could hear Mike Riley calling everyone an Ironman. I said to those guys on the motorcycle from ESPN, I said, another 10 miles. Come on, do it. They were so sick of me. They're like, no, we're done. You're going to get across that finish line and we're going for a beer. So I told Megan, I said, I just cannot believe it's done. I physically felt fine. The only thing that was wrong with me was my little toes were raw. Other than that, nothing. I lost 14 pounds, but, I had tried to gain weight, to have that to run and store. So came across the finish line and the race director gave me my award. And each continent, you got a medal. And then you got you're part of the Guinness World Marathon group. And then you got the World Marathon Challenge. So I came out like I was, Michael Phelps with all those gold medals. I have a great picture of that. But he said, BethAnn, I also have to give you this check here for your foundation because you were nominated by your peers as the woman that had the best sportsmanship. And so I took away, that money. And I knew that was something my father instilled in me. And that was respect for other people and the respect of what Winston Churchill says is never, never, never give up. And you can't give up on yourself and you shouldn't give up on others. So I had won that. And I think that was the best takeaway other than the amazing people that I met on the journey. And I'm proud to tell you that I beat Ryan Hall on the Sydney Marathon, and Ryan Hall is a record holder. A gold medalist at the Olympics, and I beat him. And so I will use that against him. That was his last marathon that he would ever run, he said. And I was so proud of myself that I beat him. I hold that against him.
I've seen Ryan Hall. I follow him on social media, and he's like puffed up, and he's a different person now.
Yeah, that's someone, again, that's someone I could put you in contact with. He's great. And, he coaches his wife. His wife is doing great running. They're out west right now training. So yeah, he started that whole thing then. He really just was done with running and he wanted to move on, and he's helping people to, he's gaining weight and he is just very strong. What a great person. He's, adopted several girls who are running with, his wife now, and such a great story with him. Yeah.
Huge, huge. And you also ran with the U.S. The American flag in all these continents, right?
I am huge on America. I love this country. If I had to go back, I would serve in the military. Of course, it would be the Marines. Um, I would serve. I have high respect. My partner is an Air Force, veteran, and I just love the military. And it was something that I was given, the USA flag that flew over the United States Capitol, and I took that on the 7 marathons. I did, there was a couple times I was feeling, after the marathon, I was like, whew, and the flag would hit. And of course I got hit with people saying, you put the flag on the ground. No disrespect at all. I didn't mean it. But each time I came across the finish line, I held that high and proud because I was the second USA female. But again, in my heart, it was for, those people. I adore the veterans and those people that serve our country. Yeah.
Beautiful. And you've gone on to create this foundation, right? This uh, pediatric cancer foundation for which you are raising funds, and you've raised $1 million already. That's such a phenomenal effort from your side. I mean, one is you're an inspiration, unstoppable human being, and on the other hand, you're also extending this to the community. And so, really, hats off. You want
But
to say
yeah,
something on that
I
too?
mean, like I told you, I was like so upset. And then when Dr. Brem said about these children, and the statistics are, someone like you or myself, anyone over the age of 19 till the death, gets about 41-42% of funding from the National Institute of Health for research for cancer. Now, a child under the age of 19 only gets 4.1%. Now, why is there a huge difference there? Why is that so huge? These kids are our future. This is something I wasn't, didn't have the ability to have. You and I, we went to the prom, we, went across country, got speeding tickets, at least I did. Able to run a marathon. Some of these kids will never have that ability. So that started my platform. Now I started Team BT, which is team, if you think about it, team, BethAnn Telford, but it more or less for all these people, it was team brain tumors, or my cousin who actually died of a brain tumor. His last name was Borland. So we always said Team Borland Telford. And he was a young kid. He was going to Juilliard for music, died in 3 days from a brain tumor. And so it is genetic. People say it's not, but it, it is. It falls on the father's side. But I always fought for this, foundation, either Accelerate Brain Cancer Cure, which unfortunately closed its doors December of last year, because that was started by Gene and Steve Case, who founded AOL, and they decided they wanted to pursue the entrepreneur side of it a little bit more. And Steve's brother died of brain cancer, and they just felt like they fully, even though they didn't find a cure, really did the best that they could. So they closed their doors. So I've been, and I had been with ABC Square, working with the University of Florida, which I had mentioned earlier. And they have great, great doctors who came from Duke down there. One being well known is Dwayne Mitchell. And Dwayne, I can tell you, and I've said it the last several years, that is the man that's going to find the cure for pediatric brain cancer. I really do. And his team is just great. I adore them. The Preston Wills Foundation down there, and came very close with a lady that's a research down there that she just gets great grants. Her name is Catherine Flores, and I just adore her and all the people down there. So I've been working closely with them. I probably will focus more. I mean, it's just been a couple months since ABC closed. I've been doing stuff with the National Brain Tumor Society. So any money that I'm given, no matter if it's a check or cash, never goes into my account. I just don't feel comfortable about that. It always goes towards ABC Squared, University of Florida or National Brain Tumor Society. So I do that. But it's not all about running. I'm a certified yoga instructor. I do cross train a lot, which is important. And I'm a full-time federal employee, so I got a full plate and a great aunt, I have to say.
Totally. Terrific. Hey, that was a great conversation. We covered a wide swath. I would have loved to also talk about Ironman, but I think we'll need to probably bring you back again. And
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
that's you're Iron Woman. Not even call it Iron. So yeah, I mean, anything before we wrap up? Any closing comments from your side?
Yeah, you don't have to be the fastest person out there or the strongest person. I believe, and this is to the day back when I was a kid, if it's in your heart and you feel so strongly about it, you're going to pursue that dream or that goal and you're going to finish it. Now, I have been lucky to, have the ability to do what I'm doing. There's so many people that can't physically, but that doesn't mean you can't get out and walk. You can't get out and walk the mall. We were talking earlier about, you get up and it's hot out, so I'm not going to rain. Well, race day or the day of your big event or your final day, you're not going to be able to say, oh, it's going to be sunny, it's going to be overcast, or it's going to be raining. Race day is up in the air, or your final day or the day you get on stage. You just don't know who's going to be there, what your circumstances around you are. So you have to have that mindset that, look, I got to start somewhere. And if that's like getting off the couch, getting out of the refrigerator, getting out of bed because of depression or mental issues, I've been at all of those avenues. You have to have that mindset. It has to be in your heart, and surround yourself with good people that encourage you to do the things and challenge you. I think is so important in life. And also give yourself some breaks. Every now and again, it's okay to say, well, this morning it's just not happening. But don't make the next day the same thing because I didn't work out yesterday. Okay, I'm not going to do it today, or I'm not going to get up and walk the mall or walk to get the mail and take an extra couple steps. It's so important to keep active and keep going and to be encouraging instead of discouraging, because that's not helpful in life. And especially right now with everything that's going on with COVID, I think we're all, clammed up and everyone's finding different ways to work out, these Zoom meetings and virtual health clubs. I think we're in this new norm, and you just have to fight through it and work with it and do the best you can in life. And if you're happy with yourself and in your heart you met your goals and desires, then you should be happy.
Yeah, great message. Hey, BethAnn, thanks a lot. Do you go by Betty or BethAnn? Which?
It depends. When my parents are upset, BethAnn, and my friends Beth or BT. So any of the above.
Okay. Thanks a lot for being on the show. Learned a lot. I think you're a great inspiration. Keep at it, and we're going to be following you for your next big adventure. And
Great.
have a great weekend.
Yep, and let's stay in touch. And if anyone wants to reach out, I'm available.
Absolutely. Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.